Okay, so there's a number of things I want to cover on the subject of prisons. Um, Related to this subject, it's quite topical at the moment because there has been two bloody prison riots in Brazil. Firstly, I believe on New Year's Day in Manaus, 56 inmates were killed, and then there was a revenge riot in another prison in Rorano, which I think is a state in the Amazon region as well, so not far from there. That was orchestrated by the gang First Command of the Capital, one of Brazil's. And in that riot, 31 were killed. Apparently, decapitated bodies, were thrown over prison walls. So that's almost 100 inmates killed in prison violence in Brazil just in a few days. Clearly, a very serious situation. Um, and the situation in the UK, there hasn't been any deaths, but we have had a number of riots. Um, anyway, I want to talk about a specific issue. This is not about prison in general, but a very specific issue. And this will be a provocative video and perhaps will be misunderstood. And that's just something I'll have to risk because I think it has to be said. Um, One thing that sometimes comes to attention is that particularly notorious criminals, especially involved in crimes that sicken society, such as child molesters, rapists. Very often you hear reports that they're attacked in prison or that people advocate that they're attacked in prison. Now, I have a view on this that people will no doubt pigeonhole me for, but I'll try and present my case. I take the view that prisons have to be run by prison staff and prison governors. If you allow a situation where there is a pecking order among inmates, then you're basically allowing anarchy. And I think people need to detach the emotional response from the way it should be. So the emotional response is that people are going to have no sympathy with these low life scumbags that do horrible things. I get that. And I am in no way sympathetic to such people because the crimes they commit are destructive, damaging, wicked crimes. But I do believe that there shouldn't be a situation where, say, the burglar is allowed to beat up the rapist and then there's no consequences. Just because one crime is worse than another doesn't mean that the lesser offender is allowed to do what he wants under the guise of being some sort of avenging figure. I take the view that within the prison system, I'm not talking so much about Brazil because that's, in different countries the situation is different. I'll stick to the UK situation for now. I take the view that there shouldn't be a pecking order. A prisoner is a prisoner, and they should not be allowed to determine some sort of internal structure. So I take the view that governors should lay down the law and basically say, you're an inmate, you're here for a reason, and you're not going to police yourselves. So there's a little bit of hypocrisy in people talking tough on crime, but then saying anything goes when it comes to allowing one type of criminal to do something just because they're less. So, in other words, you'll get someone saying, "Oh, this scumbag burgled into my house," but more often than not, the same person would then say, "Oh, I hope that inmate beats up the rapist." So you either have discipline across the board, or you have breakdown and anarchy, a Wild West situation. If I was a governor, and I'm not, so it's easy for me to say this, but if I was, I would like to think that I would be putting the fear of God into those inmates on day one. And I would say, you're here for a purpose, play by the rules, it will be okay. Things will work out, you'll serve your sentence, you'll get out. But there has to be an iron handed approach to discipline. Because as soon as you have a situation where inmates think that they can control the situation, then you have anarchy. Then you have the recipe for what happened in Lewis and Birmingham and other high profile prison riots in recent weeks. So, I know that people will think that this is a liberal perspective. I would argue it's actually a conservative perspective. It's nothing to do with feeling sorry for the most heinous offenders. It's simply a case of saying there shouldn't be a situation where the inmates can police themselves like that and determine a pecking order. Okay, it's not for them to get revenge on the rapist or the child molester. I think such people should serve very, very long sentences and they should be in very tough conditions. But it should be from the judiciary, from the government, and from the penal system, not from other inmates. I really do believe that if you have a situation where anything goes, then it's a breakdown. And you're basically giving the green light to a supposedly lesser offender. Say, for example, you have some thug that's attacked a man on the street for no reason. He's still a thug, but people are saying, oh, well, I hope he attacks the rapist. Well, that doesn't make him a good person. It just makes him one scumbag attacking another scumbag, as far as I'm concerned. And okay, one crime might be more emotionally, um, yeah. So that's my position, and I know it wouldn't be a popular position, but I don't think that prison works if you have anarchy in the system. That seems common sense to me. There shouldn't be a situation where inmates are allowed to determine that. Um, there has to be a situation where the authorities regain control, and I don't think sort of turning a blind eye to inmates taking justice into their own hands helps anyone. It doesn't help them in terms of their rehabilitation. Um, and no matter how heinous someone's crime is, I don't think as society we develop by putting them in a situation where they're going to be beaten up every day. They might well deserve it, and I've no personal sympathy, but I just don't think it helps anyone. In a way, it's only taking more money from the taxpayer, who then has to, because then they're brought to hospital and they're given surgery, or whatever, for whatever the injury is. Prisons shouldn't be easy, but they shouldn't be hellholes either. So that's my position. Let me know your thoughts, but I just hope people don't misunderstand this and think I'm trying to advocate sympathy for the most despicable crimes. I mean, if someone done that to I don't have children, but if someone done that to my niece or nephew, I'd want their blood, of course I would. But you have to detach sometimes emotions from what would be workable. And I just don't think allowing inmates to do what they want is practical for anyone.